What's up, you friggin' geniuses? So in this video, I'm going to teach you how to translate and write decimals as a number. So we're going to start with a sentence like this one that I have right here, and then we're going to figure out how to write this as a decimal number. Okay, so let's jump into this first example. So here it says 6 and 2/10. So how would we write this as a decimal number? Well, first tip is whenever you see the word and, like we do here, and always means a decimal point, okay? So this is always going to be where your decimal point goes. So now we just need the numbers, right? So first of all, here it says 6, so I'll write a 6, and then we have our decimal point, and then here it says 2/10, right? So here it says 2, so I need a 2, I know that. And then tenths is just telling you in what spot the 2 goes in, okay? So it should be in the tenths spot. Okay, so if you remember your decimal place values, I'll just write a random number just so you can see it. Okay, this is just a random number. Now, the names of your place values, if you remember, so here's our decimal point, right? So then this first number to the left is the ones place. And then this first place to the right, that's called the tenths place, right? And then this second one is called the hundredths place, and this third one is the thousandths place, okay? Now again, in this example, it says 2/10, right? So our 2 has to be in the tenths spot, which it is, because as you can see, the 2 is right next to the decimal, right? So we know we wrote it correctly, okay? So 6 and 2/10 is the same thing as 6.2. Okay, so let me change this up a little bit. So instead of tenths, what if I had hundredths? How would I write 6 and 2/100ths? So now if it said hundredths, that means we'd have to move this 2 over to this spot right here, right? Because we said this is the tenths spot, and the place value right next to that is the hundredths spot, right? So we'd have to move this 2 right here. Okay, and then since we don't have anything in the tenths place, we would just put a 0 there. So if the problem was 6 and 2/100ths, you would write that as 6.02. Okay, and just to make sure you can see the pattern, let's get rid of this hundredths, and instead let's say we had thousandths. Okay, so here now it says 6 and 2/1000ths. So again, that means this 2 right here has to go in the thousandths place, which it's not right now, right? We'd have to move over one spot right here, because this is the tenths, hundredths, and then right next to it, right here, is the thousandths place. Okay, so this 2 has to move over one more time again. Now it is in the thousandths place. And again, since we don't have anything in the hundredths place anymore, we would just put a 0, okay? So this problem right here, 6 and 2/1000ths, you would write it as 6.002. Okay, so I'm hoping you kind of get the gist of how these work now. So now let's try some slightly more complicated examples. Okay, so here's the next example, and it says 14 and 73/100ths. Okay, so let's just start with the easy part up here at the beginning. So here it says 14, so I'm just going to write a 14. And, so remember, and means a decimal point. And then here it says 73. 73. And then here it says hundredths. So this tells us where our number has to end. Okay, so right now this is in the tenth spot. This is in the hundredth spot, right? So as you can see, our last number here, 3, does end in the hundredth spot. So we know we wrote our number correctly. So 14 and 73/100ths is the same thing as 14.73. Okay, let's do another one. Okay, so this one says -5 and 146/1000ths. All right, so this one's kind of a mouthful, right? But again, just follow the same steps we've been doing. So this time, instead of a positive number, we're going to have a negative number. Okay, so -5, right? So put a 5 there. So we have -5 and so that's where my decimal goes. 146. Okay, so let's write that first. So 146. Okay, and this has to end in the thousandths place. So let's check if it does. Okay, so this is in the tenths place, this is in the hundredths, and this is in the thousandths. Okay, so the last number we had here, 6, does end in the thousandths place. So this is correct. Okay, so -5 and 146 thousandths is the same thing as -5.146. So hopefully not too bad, okay? Let's just do a couple more examples. Okay, so here we have 207 and 300ths. Okay, so let's start at the beginning. So here we have 207. So we're going to write the number 207. And then this says and, so we know that's where our decimal goes. And then here we have 300ths. Okay, so I'll put a 3 here. And it has to be in the hundredths place, right? Is it in the hundredths place right now? No, this is the tenths place, right? I have to move it over one more spot. So I'll put the 3 there instead. Okay, so we moved it over to the correct spot. And now since we don't have anything in the tenths place, remember, just put a 0 there. So your number up here, 207 and 300ths, would be written as 207.03. All right, so let's do one more. All right, so here we have -9 and 11 thousandths. So first of all, this part right here, -9, we know how to write that, right? It's just regular old -9, okay? Here's our and, so that's where our decimal goes. And then we have 11, okay, so 11. Now it has to end in the thousandths place, right? Does this currently end in the thousandths place? Well, remember, this is the tenths place, this is the hundredths place, this is the thousandths place, right? Okay, so we actually have to move these ones over like that, okay? Because remember, my problem says it has to end in the thousandths place, right? And this right here is the thousandths place. Okay, so we moved it over to the correct spot. The last thing to do is just to put a 0 right here, right? Because we don't have anything in the tenth spot anymore. So our problem up here, -9 and 11 thousandths, would be written as -9.011. All right, guys, so that's how you translate decimals from words and sentences to just a regular number. So I hope the video was helpful. If it was, definitely leave a thumbs up down below. It's always appreciated. And if you still have any questions, leave them in the comment section below, and I'll do my best to try and help you out. Also, there's a playlist attached at the end of the video, so if there's any other topics you need help with, definitely check those out, and I'll see you there.